Before I start this video, I just want to say sorry that it came out a little late, but I wanted to put a lot of effort into this since Endgame was much better than I ever anticipated. Time to get into the review. In 11 years and 22 movies, and it all ended with Avengers Endgame. Endgame is the big culmination of 11 years of movies, and it is absolutely amazing in that regard. It's a direct sequel to Infinity War, one of my other favorite movies, which was also a big culmination of the MCU, but this is the culmination of the culmination. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know how to start talking about this movie. There's so many highs and lows to it, so I'm just going to start off by talking about the good parts of the movie. It is amazing, it's epic, it's massive scale. The best word to describe this movie would probably be epic, emotional, and huge. This movie is just so big. There's just so much stuff in it, and a large majority of it is enjoyable. The performances are absolutely amazing. Best credits would probably go to Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Captain America. Playing these characters for a decade now, and they both pulled off their best performances yet, bringing satisfying stories for their characters after all these 10 years. Some of the other actors did pretty good too. Chris Hemsworth brought over a lot of the comedy from some of his previous movies, but also managed to be serious like it was in Infinity War. Although there were some problems with him, I'll get back to that later. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / the Hulk, they took a new turn to his character in this movie, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but I thought he was really good in this movie. He brought off a fun and charming performance, and I really liked it. Scarlett Johansson brought off her most emotional performance as Black Widow yet. The first time we've really seen her show emotion, or at least emotion in the scale that she does in this movie. A good story to her character. Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, he did good too as the broken man after the event of the snap. Karen Gillan, Don Cheadle, both did, pretty well with their performances. Nothing too stand out as the original cast of Avengers, but they pulled off some pretty solid performances, and Don Cheadle actually had some pretty good jokes in the film. Cooper's Rocket, he was fine. Nothing too special, but enjoyable. Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I found her a little less likable than she was in her own movie, and she wasn't super likable there, but she was still enjoyable at times in this movie, but she wasn't that important as other people would think she would be. Okoye, Danya Gurai's Okoye, she pulled off a good performance in the scene she's in, but she's actually barely in the movie. From her big spot in the poster, you'd think she'd be in a lot, but she really isn't. Josh Brolin as Thanos definitely is not nearly as important in this movie as he was in the last one. Infinity War is a lot more of Thanos' movie than this one is, but he still managed to pull off a scary and, villainous performance. Does manage to become the best antagonist that this movie could have had. The movie has absolutely amazing action sequences. There's some in the beginning, and then absolutely amazing scenes of action in the end. Probably some of the best action scenes in the MCU. The overall story and plot, well, I can't talk about it. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and I honestly was just invested the entire time. And for a 3-hour movie, I never felt like it got boring or was too slow, and I was always with the story. In fact, at the end, I felt like it went pretty fast. So many moments in this movie that are just payoff and for so many things that were set up in the past 22 films. Many lines and actions that just truly, bring a good end to things that were started in the earlier movies. The movie also has an amazing soundtrack by Alan Silvestri. He brings back the best parts of the normal Avengers soundtrack, then managed to bring in new things as well. So many things in this movie that you would find completely unexpected, and as soon as I got into the film, it just started off how I expected it, but as the movie went on, it just went in places where I never thought it would go, and I really enjoyed those parts. Talk about the parts that I thought weren't as good as the other parts, where there was a certain joke that they just kept going throughout the film that it started off pretty funny. My friends and I were laughing throughout the whole scene, but then they just kept the joke going throughout the movie, and eventually it just kind of became stale and wasn't funny when you feel like it could definitely be more serious in those scenes. Another problem was that a lot of other jokes, I think they ran a couple seconds too long in many other scenes. A lot of joke, I feel like they just kept the joke going as far as it could, when the joke really, the best parts of the joke were in the first half. This happens 2 or 3 times in the movie. Maybe more, but that was definitely another problem I had. My biggest problem are probably the movie sets up a lot of plot holes. I'm sure they'll fix them in other movies. They'll be explained away. But my first impressions afterward, there are quite a few plot holes. Probably most out of the MCU. But overall, the benefit you get from this movie, the emotional payoff, is absolutely worth it. All of it. This movie is just the perfect culmination of everything Marvel has set up over the past decade. It manages to make everything that has been seen before feel satisfying. And it managed to bring back callbacks from almost every single movie in the series. And before I watched this movie, I watched every Marvel movie in preparation. And after watching this movie, I don't regret seeing any one of those, as some payoff, something set up in one of those movies paid off in this film. Personal opinion, this is the best in the MCU, best comic book movies by far, and maybe not the best movie of all time, but I'm going to go out and say that this is my personal favorite movie ever, as it's one of the few movies that have really made me show real emotion. I was shaking in the theater, and there were times where I think I was actually crying. I would give this movie a perfect 10 out of 10 and say that it is my favorite movie ever. Even considering doing maybe a spoiler review, we'll see if I have time, if I'll do it, but I'm definitely considering it. Overall, my next video is going to be on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. It's going to be my ultimate ranking of every MCU movie. I already have the list completed, I just need to film and edit it. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment maybe, and I'll see you guys next time.